We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the SlooPcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right, Jared. Doing all right. Week 11 is here. We're gonna pick some games. How are you doing?
I'm just gonna be real with you. Time change kicking my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time change kicking my ass. I am super happy that we get to spring our clocks forward in the spring, and then that's it. We're done. Right? Am I right? We're done? We're done with this shit?
Possibly.
I think that's what's happening. We'll just permanently just be on daylight savings time all the time, and that's great. That's exactly what I want.
All right. Week 11 is here, Jared. We're going to pick 6 games here. We picked 7 games, but if you want to listen to our Ohio State, Indiana picks, check out our Thursday episode for the Know Your Enemy Indiana edition. Let's go and get started, Jared. We will start with the Big Ten here, where we have Penn State taking on Maryland. Penn State in this game is a 10.5 point favorite. I'll go ahead and start here, and I don't think Maryland's offense is any good anymore with Baby Tua no longer taking the snaps there. So this is all Penn State here, so I'll take Penn State to cover.
Through the first 5 games of the season, Maryland went 4-1 against the spread. Over the past 4 games, they're on a 4-game losing streak against the spread. Interesting, especially as Kyle pointed out. Without Baby Tua, they've not been themselves. You can't be Maryland and lose your starting quarterback and still have it. The system's not set up for most teams to have a decent backup quarterback, especially a Maryland. So yeah, I'm going to for sure pick Penn State to win and cover. I think this will be one of those games that maybe looks a little close at halftime. Maybe Penn State's, winning by 10 points at halftime, but then just they rip it wide open in the second half. I think it's gonna be one of those type of games. So yeah, give me Penn State to win and cover. What's the chat think? Zach, Spikes, who you got in this game? Kyle, who's next?
All right. Well, we're
Spikes takes Penn State.
All right.
Zach might be asleep. He falls asleep sometimes.
All right. Next game here is 10th ranked Alabama. Just gonna let you think about that one right there. Yeah. 10th ranked Alabama. Double-digit ranked Alabama. And Ole Miss, who's currently 11th ranked. 3:30 kickoff. And Alabama is an 11.5 point favorite. Now, I'm kind of torn about this game here because part of me thinks that Ole Miss will keep this close. But at the same time, anytime Alabama loses, that next team that they play is usually like, this is not the week to play them.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to go with the first. I'm going to go with the first here. I think Ole Miss will keep it closer, but I think Alabama will still win the game. But I'll pick Ole Miss to cover.
Yeah. Ole Miss has been somewhat atrocious against the spread this year. Only 3-5. And when they lost to LSU, that was supposed to be a pick'em game, and they ended up losing by 25 points. They only beat Texas A&M by 3 points last week, and Texas A&M's pretty bad. I think Ole Miss has been a pretty fortunate team at times this year. I don't think they're nearly as good as 11th, and I don't think they're nearly as good as that 8-1 record indicates. So I'm going to take Bama to win, cover, and obliterate Ole Miss. As Kyle pointed out, you don't want to play Saban the week after a loss. It's not a good idea. Never play Army, never play Navy, never play Bama the week after a loss.
Yep. All right. Next up here, we have two of the top group of 5 teams here going at it: UCF and Tulane.
Who had that? Who had that on the bingo card?
Tulane.
Kyle, how many group of 5 games have we picked during the SlooPicks this season? I think we maybe picked the Cincinnati game at some point.
Maybe that's the only one. Maybe
and then like Ohio State played some group of 5. So we obviously, like, when Ohio State plays a group of 5 team, we pick those. But not many.
I don't think I can go back in the weeks here. If I go picks, I can, but I'm not going to, because that's taken away.
Yeah, no, it's not that interesting.
All right. Tulane is a 2.5 point favorite, but I think I don't know. This is a toss up. This is a toss up one here, but I think UCF has the better offense here in this game here, where I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'll pick the team. I'll pick the quarterback. So I'll take UCF to cover and win the game.
Yeah. Kyle's right. This feels like a toss up. As far as who's going to win, it feels very 50-50 in my head. I've been talking about, like, teams against the spread this year. UCF is 6-3. Tulane is 8-1. So both teams have been fantastic against the spread this year. When in doubt, pick the underdog. This is a 50-50 game. So why not take 2.5 points if 2.5 points are offered to me? Give me Tulane.
Yep.
Oh, Kyle, have we been doing Sun Cards picks?
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, Sun Card.
I am so
blanked. Sorry.
We totally blanked. Holy crap. Spike
Let me
stakes
go back
UCF.
here. Yeah. All right. Let me go back here. So for the Maryland and Penn State game, where Penn State's a 10.5 point favorite, Sun Card says, I'm picking Penn State because they will see blood and attack. They perform well against lesser opponents. For the Bama and Ole Miss game, where Bama is an 11.5 point favorite, he says Bama remembers who they are and wins this one by 21. Remember, it just means more.
I think 21 is a better spread for that game.
All right. And then the other one for the UCF and Tulane game that we just did, I couldn't tell you anything about these two teams. Imagine the food is better in New Orleans than Orlando. For that reason, give me Tulane.
I think Sun Card's nailing these.
All right. Going to the next one here, Washington and Oregon. Got a Pac-12, not an after dark game though, but 7 o'clock kickoff here in Oregon. The Ducks is a 12.5 point favorite. I feel that the Ducks is really trying to make a statement here. They've been playing tremendous these past few games, as they should, for the teams that they've played, and they've had a big win against UCLA recently. The spread here favors Oregon. They've beaten the spread the last 4 games here. And I'll say this is the 5th one. I think Oregon will cover that 12.5 points.
It's a big number. It's a big number. It's weird just because Oregon has looked so good this year in like all but 2 games. And yeah, against the spread this year, they're 7-2. That math makes sense. Yeah, they totally shit the bed against Georgia, which is a thing that no one can stop talking about, despite the fact that it happened in week 1, and for good reason. They had a pretty bad showing against Washington State. They still win that game, but every other win, Kyle, has been by double digits, has been by more than 2 scores. Their quote unquote worst win is UCLA by 15. That's their, outside of the Washington State game, their least decisive win, 15 points against UCLA. So it's real easy to look at that 12.5 and say, that's a big number against a ranked team. That's kind of what Oregon's been doing this year.
Yep.
Again, aside from 2 games. So yeah, I agree with Kyle. Give me Oregon.
All right, let's see what SunCard says. Oregon is on a warpath and will show up big this week. Short and sweet from SunCard. All right, next up here, speaking of high scoring games here, North Carolina and Wake Forest. whatever the over under is in this game, Jared, pick the over.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be a high scoring game here. 77 points.
There you go. 77. That's a hefty number. By the way, Spikes took Oregon. He's in the chat letting us know.
All right. North Carolina, I'm sorry. Wake Forest is a 3.5 point favorite in this game. UNC only having to make the hour and a half drive over to Wake Forest here to play this game. So plenty of Carolina.
What road would you take to get there, Kyle?
40.
Thank you.
40 and then some other roads, but either way, whatever.
Listen, I thought it was funny. That's all I got.
Wake Forest 3.5 point favorite in this game. That's interesting. Wake Forest 6-3, North Carolina 8-1. My gut feeling is that I think the better offense that's been playing will win this game here, and that's UNC. But man, we've seen it with Wake Forest. They can score some points these past couple of years. And I know they've had some disappointing ones, like their last 2 games where they lost to NC State, they lost to Louisville. But they've also looked pretty good against Clemson earlier in the year too. But I don't know. I think the trend is with Wake Forest is what we've seen the past couple of weeks here. So I'll take UNC to cover and win the game.
Yeah, it's hard because among the many things, like the reoccurring themes that you and I bring up during Collegiate Chaos on Tuesdays here on the Buckeye SlooPcast. During Collegiate Chaos is like North Carolina continues to be one of the worst ranked 1-loss teams. And why? Because they've literally beaten nobody. Beaten nobody. Kyle, is it fair to say that this is their toughest game of the year so far?
I mean, NC State would. For UNC. I'm sorry. Yeah, for UNC. Yes, it is. Since their loss to Notre Dame.
Well, I was about to say I should have said they're right. Yeah, because they lost to Notre Dame, so that obviously in my mind didn't count. But I think everyone gets what I was trying to say there. And by the way, that was September Notre Dame. September Notre Dame wasn't very good. November Notre Dame would absolutely slaughter September Notre Dame. But regardless, back on track here. Wake Forest, pretty, they're somewhat better against the spread this year. 6-3 versus 4-4-1. The problem here is that I really, really, really want to take Wake. But yeah, but all signs are pointing towards UNC for me. I do think Wake wins this game, but am I confident in that? Not really. I think they have a slightly better than 50-50 chance. Does 3.5 points move me from that when I think it's like maybe slightly better than 50-50? Mm-hmm. Or do I take the 3.5 points? And I think the number is like this close. I think if it was 2.5, I'd eat the points and take Wake Forest, but 3.5, I think I'm going to go with UNC here. Unless I change my mind.
You locking it in? You locking it in?
Yes. North Carolina.
All right. And Suncard, a homie Suncard, says he takes Wake. Their QB will find a way.
Both quarterbacks. This is a good quarterback game. This is a really good quarterback game. Both of these quarterbacks, Maine and Hartman, have been putting up insane numbers this year.
This is probably one of the best quarterback duel games of the year.
Yeah. You could certainly put Alabama versus Tennessee into that conversation.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said one of.
Yeah. No, I know. I wasn't disagreeing with you. I was just adding like the first one that popped into my head when you said that. But no, I think this is a fantastic quarterback game. Or, it's UNC and Wake. Is it a fantastic point guard game? Kyle, who wins this game if they're only allowed to put 5 players on the field and they shrink the field and they make them shoot the ball, which is now round and orange, versus into a hoop?
No, Jared.
Who wins?
No, Jared. No, this is this is football, not basketball.
I understand that. That's why it's a hypothetical it's a totally hypothetical question.
Well, then it's UNC, hands down.
But please note that I asked if these players.
Moving on, Jared. TCU in Texas is our 6th game here. Just in time, Austin. Look at that. Go Horned Frogs.
How does he do that every time? How does he show up right before we talk about TCU? Well, Spikes was telling him the games we were picking. Not that he was doing it on purpose, but
yeah.
100% always by accident. I believe
him. TCU number 4, the last spot in the playoffs for this week's rankings, heading on over to Austin, Texas, where Texas is a 7.5 point favorite. Yes, Texas at home, a 7.5 point favorite over Austin's favorite Horned Frog team.
I'm really glad I don't have my mouse in the Discord right now so that awful GIF isn't animating. It's seriously gross.
You got in this one, Jared.
You making me pick first this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Both of these teams have been I'll let that one animate. Both of these teams have been impeccable against the spread this year. TCU 7-1-1, Texas 6-3. Pretty good numbers, especially for TCU. I am just incredibly worried that TCU flies by the seat of their pants all year. Like, I feel like they're winning a lot of games very close that they should be dominating. I feel like they let teams stick around. I feel like they aren't winning games dominantly. And I could say, and now that they're playing a team as good as Texas, yada, yada, yada. But it's not like they've been playing cupcakes all year. They beat Oklahoma State, who was, at least at the time, highly ranked. They beat Oklahoma, who was, at least at the time, highly ranked. They beat Kansas, who I think was ranked at the time. They defeated Kansas State, who was, thank you, number one TCU apologist, Austin, for saying that, yes, they were. They defeated Kansas State, who was, at the time, pretty highly ranked.
At the time.
I said was. I think it was implied. They've won 4, at the time, ranked on ranked games. Yes.
Now you sound like an SEC person now.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the time, Arkansas was a top 10 team.
God, Arkansas is terrible. But honestly, let me say this. There's a big difference between saying at the time for an October game versus a September game. And again, like in November, it's even more valid. So a lot of these games happened in October is my point. Never tell me at the time if the game happened in September. October, maybe. November, sure.
Who do you got, Jared? Who do you got in this one?
It's just a lot of points, I think. I think it's just a lot of points.
Don't you do it, Kyle.
Like, I feel like this is like 7.5 versus 6.5. I do think Texas wins this game. I'm sorry, Austin. But I am struggling with the number. I think it's a pretty good number. But I'm going to pick TCU. I really think the number should be more like 5.5. I think 5.5 should be the number here. So I'm going to take TCU at 7 plus 7.5.
Difference maker in this game is the quarterback transfer Quinn Ewers here. I think if he has a really good game like he had against Oklahoma State here. I know that Texas lost against Oklahoma State, but if he plays as well as he did there and throw up 2-3 touchdowns in this game here, I think Texas may win this game here. So yeah, this is a big just upset alert for TCU.
He is. He's going to go in on you if you do it. He's even finding the ones with your name in it. It's pretty great.
Yes, he is. He is.
So, Kyle, have you made the pick yet?
No, I haven't. But
that one has my name in it.
But Jared.
Yeah.
TCU has the better offense. And I think they'll find a way to pull it through. And I think they'll come up with the win down in Austin. So I will take TCU and the points.
What does our homie Sun Card say?
All right, let me see here. He says Sun Card is all Texas. He says, I am the Ewers hype train. So go get him, Austin. Go get him.
All right. I feel like did we get? Yeah, we did read his UNC Wake one as well, correct?
We did, yeah. Yep.
I maybe you should try. It might be a tarot card, Austin. Maybe you should try.
All right. We do have a question in our Ask Sloopcast mailbag here from Austin, who's in here in the chat. Hi, Austin. He asks, do you think we see a lot of man free against Michigan due to their run game? And if so, do we see a lot of that these next two games in preparation for that?
That's a good question because there's like the preparation probably more comes in practice, if that makes sense. Because how much do you want to show Michigan that you're working on it? You know what I mean? Do you want to put that on game film? I think would be my. I think Jared, explain what man free is for the casuals. I don't feel like it. I don't want to. They have Google.
I don't want to.
They have Google. They can do it themselves. And like if you look it up on Google, they'll have like pictures and diagrams and shit for you. Like it's too hard. That's too hard. I mean, I don't give a damn. I know what it is. That's fine. And if people want to Google man-free defense, then they should do that. The people. It is a man-free defense. If you Google it, they'll have diagrams as opposed to me sitting here trying to explain it and doing a terrible job and repeating myself and stuttering and it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jared, that is our sloop picks. That is all the questions that we have here. You got anything else?
Oh yeah,
we do have one more thing, Jared.
We have to pick our chaos.
We do. Let me pull up the schedule real quick here. So let's see here. We got ranked teams versus unranked teams. So the first one here is this Friday, USC and Colorado. Maybe. No. Tennessee and Missouri. Yeah. LSU and Arkansas. No.
No.
All right, Jared. Notre Dame and Navy.
No. Tempting, but no.
All right. This one may be more tempting. Illinois and Purdue. Boiler up, maybe.
Boiler up.
Right,
I'm putting that one on the maybe list.
All right, Kentucky and Vanderbilt. I'm going to move a little bit. I'll move a little bit quicker here instead of Michigan and Nebraska. Tempting. Clemson and Louisville. Penn State and Maryland. NC State and Boston College. Scrolling. Georgia and Mississippi State.
Pass. Kansas
State and Baylor. Maybe.
That one on the maybe pile. Put that one on the maybe pile.
All right. Florida State and Syracuse. Stanford, Utah. And Arizona and UCLA.
All right. I'm trying to find value.
And UNC and Wake Forest.
I think UNC Wake Forest might be the best value pick. Because like I think Louisville Clemson, I think is interesting. I think we've seen Louisville look pretty good over the past few weeks. Mm-hmm. Granted, I mean, like they demolished Wake Forest. It's the ACC. Who cares? Me, because I'm trying to win points here. And that would be Clemson currently ranked 10th. That's a pretty decent payday, as far as points goes.
I mean, look at their wins. They have a win over UCF, who's ranked. They
get Jared Leto the hell out of my chat.
They have that. Jared mentioned that big win against Wake Forest a few weeks ago. Also have a win against Pitt, and yeah, it's not a terrible Louisville team, but yeah, that might be a good pick there, perhaps.
I think it's probably the best value pick. I don't necessarily think it's the most likely. Syracuse, Florida State would be interesting if Florida State wasn't ranked 23rd. Like, that's not enough points to be tempting. Wake, UNC, as you said, UNC's ranked 15th. That's an okay point day. I think Baylor has a very, very good chance against Kansas State, but Kansas State's only 19th. That's not a huge payday. I think the better value pick would be Louisville over Clemson, but I think I'm going to take Wake Forest over UNC only because I feel like it's more likely. I feel like that's a safer, lower risk take. So I'm going to take Wake Forest over UNC.
Okay.
I'm going all out, Jared, and I genuinely believe this. Are you ready for it? Are you going to say Nebraska?
Do it. Taking the Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs over the Bulldogs? Oh, you crazy bastard. Chaos ensues. It'd be fun. I don't believe you. I do not believe you. I have no faith that the Bulldogs will beat the Bulldogs. But hey, I won't stop me from celebrating if it happens.
In my pick here, Jared, because he is still going to be, according to his head coach, he's still going to be the starting quarterback for his team. I'm going to pick the Cardinals. I'll pick the Cardinals for my chaos.
Yeah, I mean, that's a...
No, not NFL. Stop it.
Yeah, I think that might be the better value pick. It's a little more risk and a little more reward for sure. But I'll stick with my safer pick.
All right.
Austin goes all out, choosing Mississippi State over Georgia. Spikes, do you have a chaos pick that you'd like to throw out there? No is an acceptable answer. If you don't, that is totally fair. I would basically win the season. I have a pretty big one. Who did I had a pretty, didn't I call, who did I get? I want to say like it was last week or the week before. I took Notre Dame last week too. I'm not keeping track of your points though. But yes, I took Notre Dame to beat Clemson. That's almost as many points. Yeah. I'm not keeping track. I'm not even keeping track of my own points. I have to go back through all of the SlooPick episodes and calculate Kyle's and I points because we're not doing a good job keeping track.
No, we're not. We'll do better next time.
Yeah, we'll actually have like a spreadsheet or something next time, and I'll put Kyle in charge of it because he's better at the spreadsheets than I am, which is to say he's willing to do them and I'm not.
Was it LSU over Ole Miss?
LSU over Ole Miss?
Yeah. LSU was unranked versus in beating Ole Miss.
Did one of us pick that? No, I got Notre Dame. I picked Notre Dame. I think one of us did pick that. It might have been me. But I picked Notre Dame to upset number 4 Clemson last week. That was a huge get.
All right.
But again, we'll have to go back. Luckily, we record these so we can go back and figure it out.
Yeah. All right. That's it, Jared. That's all we have for today's episode.
All right. That is in fact it. I want to encourage everyone to visit thesloopcast.com. It has a link to all of our other links. It's a link tree page. It's actually a campsite page, but it's the same thing. Get over it. T-shirt stores. Christmas is coming. Haha. Haha. Christmas is coming. You can go to the sloopcast.com and you can go there and find links to our t-shirt stores, or you could go straight to the t-shirt stores. The one that's actually Sloopcast merch is at merch.thesloopcast.com. And the one that is just more like generally like Yay, Ohio sort of stuff, you can find at 7071.thesloopcast.com. Slay my name, slay my name. If you're my age, it's impossible not to want to sing that. If you're my age. Yeah, that's all the plugs I feel like doing. discord.thesloopcast.com. patreon.thesloopcast.com. And that's it. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's Corner?
We are 10 weeks into the season, and the EFF has come out with their highest graded linebackers this season.
Uh-oh. Or do we need to get some apology forms printed out for Austin, among others?
Guess who's in the top 5?
Say it. Tommy Pickle Eichenberg.
He is.
You owe him an apology, Austin.
According to the PFF here, Jared, he is ranked the second highest graded linebacker.
Wow.
In the country.
So all those times that I said, actually, he's pretty good, and it's the defense that's the problem, and everyone called me an apologist. It's amazing how often I get called an Ohio State apologist only to be proven right later, because I'm not dependent upon stats to make my decisions and to inform my observations.
Iowa has 2 linebackers in the top 5.
Once again, not right now he isn't. If you compare junior Eichenberg to junior CJ Hicks, maybe. But right now, no, he isn't. And by the way, speaking of things I was right about, Iowa has amazing linebackers. And the fact that Ohio State struggled against Iowa was expected. Offensively struggled against Iowa. The defense was just fine. Hopefully Eichenberg goes to the NFL. So you're just a hater. And I think at this point, you're just doing it for the bit. And even you realize you are wrong at this point. I didn't need that. I didn't need that, Kyle.
All right. That's it, Jared. That's all I got.
All right. That's it. That's no, just no, just no. All right. All right. You need to acknowledge that you're a hater, Austin. He's just finding gifts with your name in it at this point. All right, that's it. That's the end of the show. Tonight's ending music is the Dopamines from the Cincinnati area. They're a punk band. They're a lot of fun. They're fantastic. You should check them out. And in fact, you're going to check them out. If you're listening to You're Wrong. You're wrong, Austin. Play their song Sigma. Okay. We'll play their song Sigma tonight. Awesome. Which song do you want me to play on the Thursday episode? I don't know why I'm rewarding you because of how wrong you are about Tommy Eichenberg. And at this point, they don't. Oh, God damn it. You should know who they are. I totally just fell for that. This will be a Dopamine song. I don't know which song it'll be. It's going to be a Dopamine song. And then he left. He got his revenge. I pointed out how wrong he was, and then he got his revenge on me is what happened. And he needs to man up and realize how wrong he is about Tommy Eichenberg. So with all that being said, tonight's ending music will be the Dopamines. So, yeah, that's it. with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is the Dopamines.